Interesting. Yeah, I definitely. I had no intent of that, but with you saying that, that's definitely totally what I intended.
Yeah, I'm sure. But you get another nerd involved and you start opening stuff up.
The power of two nerds, dude. Yep, you drag them through the dirt, they ain't gonna work. That's just an old cowboy proverb.
Obviously, if you're gonna be trendy, if you're gonna be cool, go get yourself some cowboy boots and and just fit in, man. Like everyone's doing it.
Hello, hello, hello. Welcome back, everyone. Thanks for tuning in to installment 14 of the Narrative Nerds podcast. Before we jump in, just wanted to say Happy National Cowboy Boots Day. We both got our boots on, and we're here to be the ye to your ha. So mosey on in here, sit back with some sweet tea, and enjoy a little literary exploration with your favorite nerds.
Yeah, Shane, did you know that I got my spurs clean this afternoon?
Now you got to get your spurs clean. Every cowboy knows that.
I've been dragging my spurs for the last 6 months and they're just clogging up.
Yep, you drag them through the dirt, they ain't gonna work. That's just an old cowboy proverb.
You just never know when you're gonna step in a big pile of your horse's stuff.
Big
So,
old, big old cow pie.
so Shane, I think what we should do is we should tell these listeners that if you head on down to old Raphael's on the corner of the Dust Street, down the way, down yonder there, you can get your spurs clean for significantly less than you'd usually pay.
Absolutely. And if you use promo code NERDY per the Narrative Nerds, you're gonna get a whole penny off it.
Oh, they even gonna give you a
Ooh,
little shot of some moonshine to get you going.
Yep, just one for the road. Hee hee.
Ooh, ooh. Do it again.
Anyways, of course, I'm Shane Ryan, and with me, my cohort, my literary companion, Carter Petrie. What up?
What is going on? We're here today doing a little bit of that sweet, sweet poetry.
Mm-hmm.
Doing a little bit
Episode
of that
number
sweet, sweet
3.
lyricalness.
Mm.
Yeah, technically it is, right? It's the
Yeah,
run on.
this is going to be the third episode of our poetry stuff, and let's see, 2 episodes. The last 2 episodes we did lyrics and poetry from a lot of popular pieces, including like Shel Silverstein, Jack Johnson, a little bit of Earl Sweatshirt. We even had, help me out here, Carter. Who else do we have in there?
We had some Seuss, a little bit of
We
the
did.
doctor himself.
Doctor's orders. So yeah, we had a ton of good stuff. If you didn't listen to that, check it out. Of course, wherever you're listening to this, it'll be there too. So you know where it is. But
You know right where to
this
find
week,
that stuff.
this week we are going to be doing something just a little bit different. Carter and I are going to be talking about some of our own personal work and kind of talking about conceptually where we were coming from and kind of the cool stuff. So strap on in for that because it's going to be a good time. So yeah, Carter, you are you ready to go?
I'm ready. I just feel like these folks might need a little refresher for those out there that aren't 100% up to date with us. We kind of got into our backgrounds in the Hot Dish, our initial pilot episode. Um, so Shane and I, we both are very much so into poetry and poems and music and art forms that share narrative, share very special, meaningful stories. So we figured instead of looking outward, we're going to be looking inward today on just the stuff that we've personally been refining. So
Yeah, absolutely. And being kind of building off what you were saying, CP. Um, you know, looking inward is almost as important as looking outward most of the time. Because if you don't take time to look at yourself, then you really shouldn't be looking at others. You know, my dad has this saying that I really like. He started using it recently. Whenever someone starts telling him which way is up, he always just goes, "Hey, watch your bobber." You know?
Yeah, nice.
Watch
Yeah.
your bobber. I know how to catch fish over here. Just watch you worry about you.
Stay in your lane, my friend.
Today we're going to tell you all about our bobbers.
Oh,
If we can follow that analogy.
sounds a little iffy, but I'll
Sure,
rock
yeah.
with it.
All right,
I'll
well,
I'll
let's,
tickle your bobber.
Oh, Christ, dude. It seems
Fancy,
a little personal.
fancy your bobber.
Oh, okay. All right. Whew.
That's what I was going for.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, Shane, let's dive in with one of your fantastic masterpieces here.
Oh, okay. Sure.
Do you want to give any backstory? Or should we just hop in and we can get there?
Sure. Well, how about this? So this piece is called White Picket Refuge, and the inspiration from it, or the inspiration for the piece came from kind of a feeling of nationalism and kind of hiding behind the walls of the figurative walls of your borders, away from the world around you. So with that being said, just a little tidbit. And yeah. Oh, the other thing, guys, we're going to be reading each other's work, so that it sounds more organic, if that makes sense. So, yeah.
Which makes it cool because we each wrote it with our own kind of rhythms. So reading it without knowing the true essence of what the creator was thinking, it gives that extra flavor. And then, Shane could go, "Oh yeah, I didn't even notice that about my own work," or the way that you put that together, created something different and new. And then we can hear both sides of it at the end. So let's get right into this guy. White Picket Refuge. The kids play cowboys and Indians, like settlers before them had. Johnny chases Susan through the yard, around the big oak, finger guns cocked. Pew, pew! Die, Tonto! Susan falls to the dirt. Her pleated skirt gets filthy. Johnny's corduroys stay clean. Deborah pins her husband's bedsheets on the line. Pins the bedsheets on the line to be dried by pollution's breeze. Apron stained by that morning's bacon grease. She shakes a petite finger at her children. Play nice, children. Your father will be home soon. White wall tires roll into the driveway. Frank's suspenders and fedora. Step out. Oh, my bad. That's the way Shane writes, and I love that. It keeps rolling, but I feel like I need to stop. All right, let's give this a go again. White wall tires roll into the driveway. Frank's suspenders and fedora step out of a black Buick Skylark and into the yard. Past the tire swing to the clothesline. He pecks the wife on the cheek and asks, "How's dinner coming along, doll?" Frank ruffles Johnny's hair, tickles Susan's chin, brings them into the shelter of their white Victorian home, away from the North Korean invasion, Soviet nukes on submarines, and Diners Club credit cards, on the other side of their white picket fence.
Thanks, Carter. You made it sound way better than I did.
Alongside my stuttering, but I think I sometimes read too fast. My brain can't always catch up with the little tidbits, the little extra nitty gritty things that are floating in the words there.
Yeah.
But man, this poem is really, really dope because it paints quite an image in my mind of an older time of like the 50s or something where everything was a lot simpler and it almost seemed like it was kind of a utopia. You're like, everything is great. You get that sensory feeling of I can just walk down the street and I'm probably going to be like, "Oh, hey, friend. Hey there. How you doing today?"
The time of milkmen delivering, glass bottles full of milk and
Yep.
all
Exactly.
that
And those.
jazz.
So yeah, you threw a whole bunch of words into this piece that really do paint that imagery of the white picket fence, of course, for beginners. The white Victorian, the Buick Skylark, the old vehicle that was so revered at the time. Other words that you personally connect with that imagery, Shane?
Yeah, absolutely. I think that there's a lot of imagery that I tried to put into this. Like, I tried to make it comparative in a sense. So, I mean, from anything from when Johnny shoots Susan with his finger guns and when they're playing Cowboys and Indians, and her skirt gets filthy compared to Johnny's corduroys, which stay clean, kind of alluding to what comes later in the poem, where Deborah is, she's pinning up her husband's bed sheets, and her apron is stained by that morning's bacon grease. And then in comparison to, Frank stepping out of his car looking fresh as hell in his suspenders and his fedora, which, like fancy hat of the 1950s, of course.
With that slick swagger walk.
Yeah,
Walking with the briefcase.
Yeah. Well, and I kind of wanted to instill the idea that one, like that idea of masculinity versus femininity that we see today was ever so present back then, and because of that, it's like so ingrained. So there's definitely like a part of that in there.
Definitely.
But also just kind of like a kind of like a generational comparison in a sense.
Yeah. I like the fact that you use the references to Tonto and how that kind of stimulated or like I was thinking like how that generation was heavily influenced by Indian, like the true Native Americans, Native Indians, because it just had happened, a lot more recently as opposed to us. We don't really. I mean, I'm sure a lot of kids played Cowboys and Indians,
Right. Well, and I
like
think,
right on the cusp of our generation, I would say.
I think we're still. So, and that's a good point too about like what kids play and how that translates into something like this. Because back then, Cowboys and Indians was probably more of a thing, but when I was younger, it was cops and robbers.
Yeah. So it evolved.
So like it evolved into something more PC, if you will. And honestly, writing this, I almost wanted to take that out.
Really?
As like as a white guy, like I'm not a like in your face kind of guy. I mean, I'm pretty like passive that way. So I didn't want to put something in there that alluded to something as terrible as the marginalization of Native Americans.
Mm-hmm. Interesting.
But I mean, at the same rate, like it's meant in a way to kind of represent that marginalization. Just with and going back to the last two lines of that first stanza. With her skirt getting dirty, his corduroy staying clean. I mean, that kind of comments on the situation with the marginalization of that whole group of people.
And the struggle that they were facing, actually, like, while at the same time, they were like, oh, everything is great, and we're all just putting up this face that we're happy, and life could not be better, but at the same time, the North Korean invasion and Soviet nukes on submarines, like all this chaos, And there's also this new era that was starting to come in with the credit cards at the diners. Like everything was phasing into the next, situation. Like we're about to go to, like World War II is just ending up, depending on what part of this era, and then like Cold War and Vietnam, like all this was coming into play slowly but surely. But at the same time, they were hiding deep. Like I do also like the fact that you kind of foreshadowed the danger of that era by using the cowboy and Indians, like a different era. They kind of tie into each other. Like just the fact that both eras are dangerous. There was real danger going on, but there was fun in it. Like they were playing a game, Cowboys and Indians, and then you kind of ended it up with,
interesting.
Well, we're gonna go in to have dinner, as something fun to do, but in reality, it's a stressful situation in both of those senses.
Interesting. Yeah, I definitely I had no intent of that, but with you saying that, that's definitely totally what I intended.
Yeah, I'm sure.
Well, I mean, I guess it's isn't that kind of how generational struggle works? I mean, like, let's go back to the Cowboys and Indians thing. I mean, Native Americans had no idea that we were going to come over and commit genocide on their people or anything. So like, you could write this same piece of poetry, but change the names, change the situations with their day-to-day thing, and end it with Christopher Columbus, and like on the other side of their settlement was the Santa Maria and British taxation and all this kind of stuff, or Spanish taxation, whatever. But I mean, every generation has that thing that's outside of the coast of their nation that is the scary big guy, like. And I mean, in the context of this one, and the way I ordered it, kind of like it gets closer to home, like North Korea, it's on the other side of the North Korean invasion, on the other side of the planet.
Yeah.
Soviet nukes on submarines, that could be anywhere, right up to the coast, you never know, and that was the fear.
Mm-hmm.
And then lastly, the Diners Club credit cards were kind of the first, and anybody out there can go ahead and fact check me on this because I may be wrong, but it was one of the first uses of buying something on credit, which eventually evolved into everyone going, carded cash rather than carrying around dollar bills. So like, I think we all have those things that we're afraid of, and shutting yourself in and putting up walls to that and putting a blind eye to it just gives you a sense of peace of mind rather than actually deal with it. But
exactly,
that's an interesting read that you had there, Carter. I like that.
Yeah. It's a great poem you wrote there, Shane. I liked it.
Oh, thanks, man. But
that's really good.
You want to move on to yours? Because I fucking love your poem here, dude.
Yeah, let's do it.
All right.
So, I mean, my little backstory behind this is I was sitting on the porch one night, and it was probably the calmest night I've ever experienced in Connecticut. It was just really not anything happening, so it made my brain click into, well, what is happening? I'm going to listen to all of the little tiny parts that are happening with this situation right now, being very, very present in that particular moment. So I named the piece Soft Subtleties.
Yeah, so this is Soft Subtleties by Carter Allen Petrie. Social Security number... No, just kidding. So here it goes. I see a bright blue light in a room on the second floor of a distant house from an old era that gets deeper with a stair. Birthday balloons trapped in a power line. The shadow of a moth on the wall. A man walking away silently. A box in the road in the shape of a cat that is a bag. A white Jeep racing 22 parked cars while riding the center line. 4 seeds in a plastic bag taped to a window. A clouded, waning moon. a sleeping town. I hear the rattle of metal cans making a room colder. Oh, I'm sorry. The rattle of a metal can making a room colder. The breath of a wave. A distant engine pulling steel. I feel alone. I wonder, when will I return home? I love the way you end that too. And just to give the listeners kind of an idea of the structure of this poem, it's the I see, I hear, I feel, I wonder. All that is stand alone, and then it has a colon at the end, and then it's followed by each one of those items in almost like a bulleted list. Which, Carter, the thing that I love about this poem, and when we went over like what we wanted to include in this episode, I know you were apprehensive about adding this one because you were like, well, I don't know if this like quote unquote qualifies as a poem, but
yeah.
the one thing I love about this poem is the isolation of each one of those bulleted points. Like if this was in regular stanza form with, like I guess what most people would think of as like the way you write a poem, it wouldn't mean as much, but each one of these standalone has its own implied narrative to it that I really like, and each narrative almost seems more singular and more existential and more, I guess, questioning than the last. I mean, for instance, the first one I see in the I see a bright blue light in a room on the second floor of a distant house from an old era that gets deeper with a stair, which kind of gives you the thought of like, well, one, what's casting that blue light,
which is a great question because that question has been in my head for a long time.
Right.
It's a house across the street that's got this deep blue light. And when I was writing this, I just stared into it, and it got brighter and brighter, and it filled the street.
Well, yeah, and you never know. Is it somebody who's got a tanning bed in their house and like it casts a blue light? Is it somebody who has a sweet aquarium with some like cool underglow blue lights or some shit? Like you don't know.
Exactly.
But it paints a really good picture. Yeah, and then you get something like a man walking away silently. Which I assume was probably just some guy walking down the street that interpreted to, if we're gonna, say this is you, the voice of this poem is you. In that moment, it translated to maybe an equation of that feeling of you being alone or something like that, But there's a whole narrative with each one of these that begs more questions, and I think that's something that makes people think. You know what I mean? I don't know if that was your intent, but
yeah, I mean it does kind of like roller coaster, and I was noticing that while I was writing it. I mean, something about personally my writing style is I tend to just go, I just start writing, and then I stop, I look at it, and I go, okay, this is what it is, and so if there's bad grammar or like things I can change, like small stuff, I will do that, but usually I just kind of run top to bottom. So it's really cool that you notice how it kind of goes up and down, because I may not have even been thinking about that at the time, but it definitely does have that feeling.
And maybe the reason I'm so curious about the I see portion is because kind of like I was saying at the beginning of the episode, the top of the episode, I mentioned that we often look out before we look in. And it's interesting that in this poem, you literally do, you look out, you have the I see section, and then the I hear, and then you look to the I feel. Like, what's your reaction mentally to that, emotionally to that? And then you also go a step further by asking the question of, what do I wonder? What does this make me wonder?
Yeah.
And I guess
it's progressively getting towards just this one finishing bullet point.
Right.
which I
yeah, and
was
it's
looking
kinda,
to do that, like as far as the feelings went, like progressing
mhm,
it towards smack. Like this is the
yeah.
gist of why I'm even sitting here on this porch, observing all this stuff is probably it was mostly pertaining to that thought right there. So that was kind of the
Yeah. Carter,
punctual.
can I read the let me read the I hear section and then the I feel section, and I kind of want your input on that just cuz I'm trying to like piece it together, and I mean there's no right answer, but I'm
Mm.
curious where you were mentally when you were writing that, or what made you write it in that way. So let me read it here. I hear the rattle of a metal can making a room colder. The breath of a wave. A distant engine pulling steel. I feel alone. So what were you, I guess first on the I hear, what was going through your mind as you were writing? What kind of feelings?
So so I hear the rattle of a metal can making a room colder. That was actually an AC unit because
Hmm.
most of the houses out here are super old, so like the internal air isn't also so much there. So at the house I live in, we all have AC units that are hanging out of the windows. So I'm
Hmm.
sitting there and I'm hearing the and no, and so I made it into a style of just making it colder, but it's tough to understand what it is. It doesn't make sense to the regular
Which
listener,
I
but
which I kind of like. I mean, like that makes sense now. Like hearing you say that, and like I feel a little dumb for being like, huh, what is that? And second guessing
no,
myself.
I know
But
because there's nothing that indicates anything about it. It's a very
right,
loose, like you're thinking
right,
like a metal can dinking down the street or something,
yeah.
like because I think it's the word can that throws it all off.
Hmm. So
Um,
what about the next one? The breath of a wave.
the breath of a wave. Okay, so where I live, I'm very close to the ocean, and I can actually hear the ocean, and
Hmm.
and the wind that comes up the like kind of like the mountainside. That I'm up at the top of the hill, and I hear you know the wind coming up
The
from the
whooshing, if
ocean,
you will.
the whooshing, and all those whooshes create this really really nice ambient like breathy type of a feeling, and sometimes you can hear the ocean, and sometimes it's just that intense whoosh, and so that was just like the breath
Hmm.
of a wave. Like the wave was expelling the whoosh, if you will.
Yeah, yeah.
Um,
No, I. There's so many things about this too, and I guess the other question I have is at the end you say, "I wonder when will I return home," which for those that don't know, Carter's in Connecticut, but originally from Minnesota, where we grew up together.
mm.
Why? What about the rest of the poem makes you wonder when will you return home?
I don't really know if any of them really tie into the last sentence there. I think it's mostly just saying like kind of like what I was saying earlier about how this is everything that I'm witnessing right now, which is kind of just an encompassment of my boredom at this particular time when I wrote this.
Mm.
I had a lot of free time on my hands, and would just sit out on the porch and drink whiskey and wonder, you know, when will I be heading home? So, with the reason of writing all of these things down that I was, you know, sensing, all my senses were going off. I think those senses and the choice of me writing this thing was truly just based around, when am I heading home? That was
Mm.
kind of just the underlaying feeling of why I decided to start focusing in on the subtleties.
Maybe a sense of what am I doing here? I mean, you do start with, and let me know if I'm supposing too much, but you do start with, like we were saying, kind of the external, noticing everything, seeing everything around you, and a lot of it is very, I don't know, it's almost kind of sad imagery, like balloons, birthday balloons trapped in a power line. I mean, obviously that's not how they're supposed to be.
Yeah.
A man walking away silently.
That's a weird. You like that?
Of a waning, a cloud of a waning moon.
Yeah.
Which I really like, a clouded waning moon, because one, it gives me the sense that you're the moon. Like so follow me here. That
I see what you're saying.
The speaker of this piece is the moon because they're clouded, they're a little bit unsure, they're a little they're a little apprehensive about their situation or like what they're doing here, but also waning because, you know, like when you're in a new place and when you're experiencing something, it's kind of like the honeymoon phase when you date somebody new, you know, like you have a lot of excitement at first, but as it goes on, you become it becomes more ingrained in you and you don't find it as special as much, and you're kind of on the downslope from that like feeling of fulfillment or that full moon feeling. Yeah. And now that you're on the downswing of waning to a new moon, which for you in this case would be getting home or having that new moon phase, that new start of something.
Interesting, yeah.
Getting back to your roots.
Really open that one up.
Yeah, a can of worms, dog.
I like it. I like it though, man.
When I see a rabbit hole, I just cannonball straight down that shit. But it makes me wonder, Carter. You know, like you're looking out, you're seeing all these things, and in your mind's eye, you see what you want to see. So it makes me wonder if at that moment was when you just like. Let me start over.
Shifted gears a little bit.
Yeah. You shifted your mindset to home is where you need to be. You know what I mean? So like, if you were to write the same poem sitting at home, would you notice the cool breeze running across your forehead, which cooled you down and that was nice? Would the tonality of that poem be more appreciative or more, I guess, comforting? You know what I'm getting at?
Yeah, no, yeah. I feel like the dynamic of this would have been a more upbeat kind of a thing. Yeah. You know, if this major thing that was weighing on me, you know, was accomplished, then yeah, it would be a totally different tone to this entire piece.
Right.
And who knows if I would have ever even looked into the soft subtleties of a specific moment at that same time.
Yeah.
I mean, I really like. Okay, actually, I got a question for you.
Yeah.
I want your opinion on the two I see bullet points right in the middle: a box in the road and a white Jeep. Yeah, I want to know what you think that means.
So, a box in the road in the shape of a cat that is actually a bag. A white Jeep races 22 parked cars while riding the center line.
I think those are my two favorite lines.
If I'm being frank, I think that the first one, a box in the road the shape of a cat that is actually a bag, it makes me think like, at first you're like, oh shit, that's a box in the road, like, or I'm sorry, a box. Oh, okay. So at first when you look at it, you think it's a cat, you think it's an animal, but then you realize it's a bag.
75% of the way there. I think you had it right when you started the first time. Like,
did I?
Yeah, a box that's in the road that's shaped like a cat, but it's actually a bag.
Oh, okay,
So it's like,
okay.
but at the same time, it's like those are two certainties. Like it's a box and it's also a bag.
It just
Which makes
it gives me this feeling of like not belonging, but
mm,
kind of belonging. You know, like cats shouldn't be in the road, but it's not a cat, but it's a box. No, it's a bag.
yeah,
That doesn't necessarily belong in the road, but I guess it's better than a cat being in the road.
yeah,
You know? And then like the kind of the Jeep too, it's a sense of like it doesn't belong where it is, but it's technically doesn't not belong where it is, if that makes sense. Like,
hmm,
you know, it's not supposed to be riding the center line, but it's on the street, so it's close enough, you know? So it's like maybe that you were subconsciously saying like I'm not exactly where I want to be, but I'm close enough where I want to be for what I
hmm,
really want to be doing in this place,
yeah.
you know? Something like that. I don't know. I mean,
So
what do
what I
you
was
take from it?
what I was going for with it was, I mean, as I wrote that box in the road in the shape of a cat that is actually a bag it was like one of the most illusional things, like delusional, I guess you could say. Like I was sitting there and looking at this box, I'm like, I feel like I should go grab that and throw it away. And then all of a sudden it like started moving and it was like in the shape of a cat. And I was like, okay, it's a cat. It looked like a box. What the heck, man? And then I realized that it was actually just a bag that was
What the
like,
fuck?
it was 100% just a bag. But it
Weird.
looked like a box at first, like because it was windy, like from the waves. It was just like popped out as a bag, and then like the wind caught it and it kind of crumpled and gave off a appearance of a cat for a second, and then it just kind of shapeshift again, and then it was just what it really was, a bag. And the other thing about the white Jeep races 22 parked cars while riding the center line. It's like right where I live. It's on the top of a hill, and there's like a road that goes down, and a hill that goes up behind me. And sitting here, the people come flying over this hill, like full speed, and there's always cars parked on both sides, and it's really tight. And a white Jeep flying over the center line, and then giving off, in my mind, giving off the appearance that it was like racing the cars that were on the side. And I actually did count. There was 22 parked cars.
Interesting.
So all of the things that are, like, none of the stuff in this poem is actually, like, it wasn't stretched. You know, none of it was to make it sound more appealing or, you know, fabricating anything. This was 100% what I was, yeah.
That's the coolest shit too. That's the coolest stuff when you can like be real with your audience, or you can just write down what you're feeling and then you look back at it later and you're like, holy shit, I guess I was onto something or whatever.
Yeah. Well, you get another nerd involved and you start opening stuff up.
Oh man, yeah.
Yeah. Well, Shane, let's get into yours that you wrote today.
Yeah, we had a separate one in there, and I wrote this over lunch today. So I was on Facebook, and you guys ever get stuck in like when you click on a video and then you can scroll and it'll pull up videos? Well, if you ever seen one of those meme compilation videos where it's like just the most absurd stuff, like there's a lot of like references to like pop culture and image like distortion and sound distortion and stuff, and it's the weirdest thing. If you want to know what I'm talking about, go to YouTube and just type in meme compilation and click on whatever you want, because it is like I listened to one and then I was like, interesting. Listen to a second one to see if it could get any worse, and it could. And at that point I was like, who has the time for this, to make these things individually, and then to, like, who also has the time to put them all together so that you can view for multiple minutes or however long. So it got my mind on the track of that the internet is just full of garbage. It's full of debris. So it's one polluted. Is titled, yeah, it's a polluted space. Yeah, and then it got me thinking more about like how that interlopes with society and community and all that kind of stuff. So it's called Digital Debris.
I really like this poem, so gotta chuck in my 2 cents first. All right, here we go. You give the world an art form, and in response, it becomes reformed. Like a Mona Lisa macaroni pizza picture. The network scape is a flat place wherein your face is visible to someone in Zimbabwe sitting on a 5-gallon pail, watching your video titled, LOL Fail. Sift through ones and zeros and locate the answer to the question of why is the internet a cancer? I gotta read that one more time because I got this.
Yeah, go for it.
Sift through ones and zeros and locate the answer to the question of why is the internet a cancer? In the background, some lanky YouTube streamer screaming, "Welcome back, Fortnite Dancer fans. This is what your life is missing." Outside of this digital glass box, organic, unassimilated beings start to rot, reaching out for human contact, but connecting with a Wi-Fi currently unavailable signal, and you forget the sound of a chirp and confuse it with a tweet. Once in a while you crack the code, breaking out of your digital abode. Your feet meet the concrete, feeling the warmth of the sun's beat. Street to street, strolling in the late eve, birds and bees sting and sing and float on the breeze. Phone is at home, adventuring a green world, no chrome, where it's okay to roam and know you don't know a thing, and there won't be a ring or a ping or anything. Only the sight of a sinking sun dipping its toes in the horizon waters, allowing you to be a squatter, not squandering the wonderful simplicity of a sun setting. That's dope, man. I want to hear you read that for the rhythm of it, because at least the end, the last paragraph.
The last one?
Yeah, because I feel like I was not doing it justice.
Sure, yeah, I'll read it quick. Once in a while you crack the code, breaking out of your digital abode. Your feet meet the concrete, feeling the warmth from the sun's beat. Street to street, strolling in the late eve. Birds and bees sting and sing and float on the breeze. Phone is at home, adventuring a green world, no chrome, where it's okay to roam and know you don't know a thing, and there won't be a ping or a ring or anything. Only the sight of a sinking sun dipping its toes in the horizon waters, allowing you to be a squatter, not squandering the wonderful simplicity of a setting sun.
Dope, dude.
Yeah, that was so about
good.
30 minutes over lunch today, where I was like just feeling it. So I was talking with Brooke about this, and Carter, I want to say that you probably know what I'm talking about, but you ever get in one of those zones where like you have a thought, there's a concept in your head, and all of a sudden like it just starts spewing out of you in the form of in this case poetry?
It's like a creative geyser.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I know exactly what you're talking
Creative
about.
geyser. Damn, dude, that's good.
Yeah. That's what it is, though, man. It's just like, it's capped, and then all of a sudden, boom, it can't go anywhere but out.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's exactly how it felt. I mean, like, I watched this video that I was like, holy shit, this is complete garbage. You know, like, somebody took the time to put this together, put it out in the world, and you look at how many people viewed it, and you go, holy fuck, 1.5 million people viewed this, and it's complete trash.
Yeah, it's just a bunch of distorted clips, and I've seen some of those. They can be so bad, but there are a couple times where I just lose dumb. It. You're laughing because they're dumb.
Yeah, well, and that's the thing, like...
That's what makes them popular, I think.
Well, and I talk about how stupid that shit is, you know, how like dumb that is, but is it that dumb if it made me think about something like the internet being cancerous because of that kind of video? You know what I mean? Like,
Exactly. If it brought that into your attention and
right.
uh
Is it bad? I mean, I don't know. It's kind of like, and I find myself doing this sometimes where I'll sit at home and I'll find like a video of like a dog that was abused as a puppy and then it was rehabilitated by its foster mom and then it found its forever home and this dog is amazing and all this. And then I look down to the other end of the couch and Thora is just laying there looking at me like, hey man, you want to hang out? And I feel like an asshole because I'm sitting here going, that dog is so cool, that dog is so cool, but I didn't take a minute to go, fuck, my dog needs some loving, you know, like,
come here.
yeah,
Come here, Thora.
let me give you that sugar that you need.
Yeah.
Blood sugar's looking a little low today. Let's give you that. Give you that
Blood,
sugar.
love sugar.
So this really comes out of a place of not so much like getting off the grid, but just stepping back and thinking about what it really is that we're doing online, you know?
Exactly.
Which, thinking about it, Carter, it's a little ironic to talk about this one in here because if people are going to be listening to our shit online, like, you know, we're kind of...
Well, I mean, ideally, you go out and listen to the podcast in the park. But it's cold,
Right.
so we understand. We're on the digital spectrum, so you can't fight it. But, yeah, I think what you're really trying to get down to is the fact that we're... It also kind of ties into the fact that, like, just general art is getting a little bit diluted with how much effort you have to put in to, like, get a response.
Yeah.
And, like, all right, Fortnite dances, like... Some guys making YouTube videos getting millions of views because of how trendy Fortnite is and the fact that everyone loves to dance like that. Yeah, dancing is cool, but like, how do you make a living off of taking something that's already created and then making a video and doing the dances and get famous because of that? Like, it's just like, there are hungry artists all over the world that like do incredible things, but then they're not making any money because they're just they're not seen. They're not, and they're doing the real deal business, trying to put out some
Carter, take
good art.
And we'll just we'll use an example kind of close to home here. You know, Carter is super hard at work all the time with his music stuff, and he's constantly creating, and like he's now working with a record label to like get shit out there. But you know, you're more likely to see like somebody post a video of, I don't know, give me like a BuzzFeed video about, oh, these are the 6 roommates you're gonna have in college. LOL. We all know that one guy who won't stop using the last of the milk, right? Like,
never replaces the toilet paper.
We're so infatuated with this like idea of equation and like relating that I think we don't take the chance to risk ourselves with something that may not be our jam, but we just don't know because we haven't experienced it yet. I mean, take everyone who's listening right now. You guys took a chance on us, and shit, maybe you think that we are total dog shit at this. Maybe you think that we're decent, but we still have a lot to learn, which is I'd like to think accurate. But the fact is that you like took a chance on us when you could go and listen to like fucking Ron Burgundy, not Will Ferrell. The character Ron Burgundy has a podcast now.
No way.
Way.
All right.
And I listened to the first 5 minutes, and it's about as good as Anchorman 2. You know, you can tell it's just
Stretched.
It's like it's a grab at money. I mean, I think they're paying him like, God, it's either $300,000 or like $3 million for like a contract of a bunch of episodes. It's like an iHeartRadio podcast.
Oh,
Fuck, I gotta stop talking about it because it sounds like I'm amping it when really it was total trash. But like, it's so easy for people to buy into what everyone else is buying into because it's easy. But it's hard to look into the things that are actually exploring new turf.
exactly, man. That's what I like every time I like hear a song on the radio. I go to Apple Music and I click on the band, listen to a song, and instantly I go down to the very bottom and click similar sounding artists. Or like, if you liked this, check out 50 other people that aren't as big. You know, that's like the first place I go, and I listen to their top music, and sometimes even just dive into their oldest records and just see what they got, you know? And I always end up finding cool, weird stuff.
That's another interesting thing, Carter. So, and I kind of want to tie this back into my piece, because this is also fresh in my head. I don't know if you guys can tell, but I have a lot of hot takes on this one, because it's so fresh. The second to last paragraph, I talk about kind of outside of the digital world, there's organic unassimilated, and by organic unassimilated, I just mean people that aren't so intertwined with the wide world web, that are reaching out. And it makes me think back to like a couple of generations before us, when like listening to an album was a thing.
Seriously,
or when you'd like put a record on and you sit down and you listen to it, and you may listen to that album a dozen times, but I feel like that's a waning craft, you know? Like people listen to the singles and then maybe a few other songs off an album, but I feel like for the most part it's kind of a dying thing where people want the smallest digestible bit, but they don't want to search for that other gem hidden underneath, you know?
Yeah, I feel that, man.
I mean, the world's an iceberg, and you gotta dig deep enough to find some valuable shit, because most of the shit you're not gonna find just by scratching the surface.
Oh, definitely not. No, there's so much good stuff out there, and I think this all really like kind of hangs back into that Roald Dahl poem that we kind of shadowed.
Absolutely.
In the first and the second part of this series, the "So please, oh please, we beg, we pray, go throw your TV set away, and in its place you can install a lovely bookcase on the wall," showing that fact of like, you can't get too deep into the electric realm.
You gotta focus
digital
on
realm.
You gotta focus on like tangible art, you know?
Yeah.
I mean, the internet's a beautiful tool, but if I don't know, every once in a while, when you open up your phone, look at what you're doing and just ask yourself if it's really worth that amount of time. You know? Like, and I'm not saying that I am preaching from the mountaintop that like, oh, I never use a phone, because like, fuck, I just admitted that I sat and I watched 2 of those meme videos. Like, obviously I had something better to do.
Busted.
But, you know, just it helps to think about it, right? So
that's a great point, Shane, that you brought up of like kind of stepping out of the quickness of us wanting to just pull up Facebook and like just swipe and swipe and swipe and look at stuff. And then like having some self-awareness, like, is this actually like stimulating me? If I was with a group of like, say 50 people and they're all just watching me swipe and looking at this, most of it being, you know, pointless stuff, just occupying time essentially, people would probably be like, all right, I'm bored. This is
nothing for me.
I'm watching you do this. This is boring. As opposed to like grabbing a pen and paper and going out and drawing something, and then somebody walks by and they look at it and they have at least 10, 15, 20 seconds, or maybe even 20 minutes that they could walk up and go, whoa, that's cool. Like, what are you working on?
Converse with you about it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like,
hey, Carter, oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead. I didn't mean to cut you off.
No, that was the gist of it. Was, you know, just like something that's material that you can go out and experience in the world that's outside of the box, I guess, the digital sense. Which is really hard for me being an audio engineer, because my entire My entire realm revolves around a box right now, unless I'm
I hear you, man.
recording on tape or something, then which
Yeah.
you don't do
Which
anymore.
how often that I know it's and I'm right there with you as a technical writer. Everything I do is on a computer. I stare at a screen all day writing, and yeah, I could write on I could write on a pad and paper, but that's not how we do it anymore.
Well, Shane,
So-
I'm going to tell you what. I don't know what's wrong with it, but I have a 1937 vintage typewriter here at my
Oh,
house.
perfect.
I think it's just like the spin wheel. It just needs like some kind of a like an adhesive
Sure,
type of thing to grab the paper when you spin it. I tried to
Right.
figure it out for a long time, but if I've
Right,
got
yeah, it's probably Carter. It's probably the adhesive clasper nozzle. Those go out on those '70s typewriters all the time, similar to the diametric lever.
I was thinking it was the spin drift, man. The spin drift is looking a little bit kinked
Sure.
at like 45 degrees and not 60 degrees, like
Yeah,
it should be.
closer to the. Well, and typically with my typewriters, because I have the extensive collection of typewriters,
Yeah,
I really like the 62.5 to 65 degrees because I think that spin drift, it really delivers that space bar. It delivers that exclamation just a little bit more poignantly. But that's just for me, man. I mean, you do your typewriters however you want.
yeah, but you personally love to use the 1962 type clappers, Mark II, if I'm not mistaken, right?
Well, I used to be a huge Mark II guy. I'm more of a Mark 4.8 now. 4.8.
4.8. Wow, I didn't know they made that many marks.
I know.
And decimal
Well,
marks.
I jumped up. Yeah. But
Oh.
anyways, enough of our typewriter jibber jabber. We have Carter. We got time for this one more, right?
What are we at? Let me take a peek. See, yeah, there we go.
Like what? 57 minutes. 56 minutes.
Yeah, we got time. If the people want
Alright,
to stick around, you stick around. If you want to take off, it was nice having you listening. Now go out into the world.
Don't take off because this one's really really good, and I hope I don't butcher it when I read it. Carter, do you want to give a little background on this?
Yeah. So this was a song that I wrote in the process. Just so you know, this is all like kind of mirrored with my last poem. Of like, when am I going home? Except now in this one, I actually have a date. I have an understanding of knowing when I will be going home. So there's a different sense to this kind of piece from my last piece, and like a year separation too at that. And so with this, it was just. Oh, go ahead.
A little bit of growth, if you will.
Exactly. So this piece is about a girl I was dating out here in Connecticut, and essentially how it kind of just didn't work out, and essentially where I'm at with that. Essentially, with the song being called "Someone I Should Know," and it essentially just rolls around the idea of, regardless of the stuff that went down, I still want to know you as a human being because I care about you enough in that sense, So, yeah. Go ahead, dive on in.
This is Someone I Should Know by C to the P. And Carter, let me know if I'm reading this incorrectly, since
Dude, that's the beauty in it, man. Let's see what you got.
All right, here we go. Matched you can't grow too attached. I always do. My past smolders, older, and so are you. So much wasted time. A girl like you is too rare to fight. A conversation stimulates this heart. I can't hold. I know I'm still a younger man, but someday I'll be growing old. Listen close and never let a burning love grow cold. I just feel like you're someone I should know. March comes, onward, it's time to go. I've got to leave you back to the ice and snow. A conversation stimulates this heart, soul, and mind. I know I'm only 23, but maybe I'll hit 99. Please listen close and never let a burning love rewind. 'Cause right now, I just feel like you're someone I should know. A conversation disappeared with stories untold. Since we've parted our ways, I've been all alone. I know that someday I will have a hand to hold, but right now I just feel like you're someone I should know. So much wasted time. A girl like you is too rare to fight.
Nice read. You did it justice because you were actually taking pauses with the commas. That's why I inserted them.
I tried to. And for the listeners out there, I mean, I know you don't see the commas, but yeah, so that's why I was a little leery about just jumping into it because I wasn't sure. But yeah, so Carter recorded this song and tossed it up on Facebook, and like amazing. I mean, it's an amazing song, and the composition to the music that accompanies it is incredible. So stalk the shit out of Carter and go find that because it's really good. And I Carter, are you planning on putting a recording of it at the end of this podcast?
Yeah, I think I will. Just so you guys have a context of like, you know, how the this is generally how those words fit to the music and the feeling and the emotions of the chords that I'm playing that kind of build the imagery and I shouldn't say imagery, but the feeling of what this song is really meant to be. And I really do think this is actually one of the better acoustic guitar songs that I've ever personally wrote. So figured this would be a good one and it's got somewhat of a decent story there too.
Yeah, and Carter, this is kind of how I feel about this piece, because listening to it and then reading it, two very different things, obviously, but when I read it, it reminds me of, like, it's as if you're in a room with somebody that you care about, or you're in a room that you, I don't know if you can hear Thora, she's acting the fool. It's like you're in a room with someone or something you care about, and you're walking out of that room, but you're not closing the door. You know, like that is still valued to you, and you're still prioritizing that, but you know you have to move away from it. You're just not closing it behind you.
Oh man, you nailed it. Yeah.
Nice.
Got it. That's 10 nerd points for you, sir. Bling, bling, bling.
My count's up to like 10 this episode then. Yeah.
I got some work to do.
But no, I mean, it's just one of those things where, you know, like, everyone talks about, like, oh, you're crazy X or something, or not you specifically, the ambiguous you, but, like, just the idea that, like, when you split with somebody, it has to be this hostile thing where, like, you're upset and you can never be in the same place as that person, and you can never look that person in the eye, but this is like a comforting, like, it's bittersweet in the sense that you have to walk away, but you also know that you won't forget it and you won't shy away from still being a part of that person's life, even though it may not be romantic.
Exactly, dude. Exactly correct. Yeah, 10 more points.
Bam! I'm racking them up, man.
Jeez.
But no,
bonus
I
round.
think that's a really, I think that's a really good message too, because like, you ever have those friends where like you just have a fallout with, and you know maybe you're super close with them. You're super close with them, and then something happens in your life where maybe you like move away, or maybe you get a different job that changes your schedule, and so now you and that person can't spend a lot of time together, or you know, maybe, I don't know, you your thing was doing this with that person and now it's not. And you have that falling out and you become distanced. I think it's natural for us to justify distance by looking back with resentment and going, "Oh yeah, I'm not missing out on anything," and fuck that. I don't even care about it. And we do that as a coping mechanism to tell ourselves, "Hey, maybe I don't need that." When really we should, isn't it better to look back and go, "That's cool that it happened. It made me who I am today."
Dude, proper. 10 more points for Shane.
Fuck, dude. Hell yeah. I'm slaughtering this.
Yes, you are, dude. There's no sense
Don't call
in me
it
even...
a comeback.
There's no sense in me even saying anything about it. You did what you had to do.
You know what it is? I put a cardigan on for this episode to go with...
Is this like Dungeons and Dragons? You put on this thing and now you get 3 more wisdom?
Yeah, exactly.
It's your cardigan of wisdom.
My literary my literary cardigan.
That's awesome. Well, I need to get me one of those, dude. Apparently.
Now I'm trying to upgrade to the tweed blazer, but oof, man, that's a higher level. Gonna need at least another 2,000 literary points for that one.
Yeah, we got time, man. We got plenty of time for these podcasts. And I mean, if I'm the only one that can give you the points, man, I'll just hook you with the 2,000 right now. It'll be a loan. You can give me the 2,000 back at whenever you can. Don't worry about it. It's a literary loan.
So Carter, is there anything else about that song that really that I missed the mark on, or any like concepts that you really want to like focus in on? Because I want to make sure that we really flesh it out. Because
so something that I guess we didn't really talk about was kind of like the beginning. Can't grow too attached. I always do. With the girl, we started a relationship practically instantly, and kind of lost the value of the friendship before the relationship started. So we missed out on that, and I think it made our relationship very mature very fast. But with mature relationships can come great arguing, and battling each other, on what needs to happen, and so that's why I put in the line, "A girl like you is too rare to fight." Like, because of how much I care about her, because of how great of a human being she is, it's like, you're too special for me to fight you on this stuff that doesn't matter, Like small things that shouldn't be argued about. Like if they were just if 2 people were friends, they wouldn't fight about it. But because of getting into this relationship so early and not fully knowing each other and how to resolve these situations, it kind of came down to how it can't work because I can't fight you. I don't want to fight you. And that's why I said, and then the part of listen close and never let a burning love grow cold. Like, do what you can to make a relationship the best that you can when you're in it. And,
I really like that line of too rare to fight, too. I mean, it's like, it shows this, like, respect, like this mutual respect that it's like, I don't need to fight you. I don't need to battle you. Like, that's not what it's about. It's about we both know where our hearts want to go, or we both know where we belong, and even if it's not together, like, it's still it doesn't take away from the fact that, like, there's respect and there's a love that's deeper than just intimate sexy time, you know what I mean? Like it's deeper than just like a surface level thing. It's like a soulful respect,
Yeah, perfect, man. Yep. And the line "so much wasted time" doesn't refer to the relationship being a waste of time, because that is 100% not how I perceived it. It was just we spent too much time, or we got into the relationship too quickly, which led to us fighting. So it was like that time could have been utilized more properly, I think.
Yeah. Yeah. Excellent, dude. Amazing piece. You guys will all hear it right about now, but for now, Carter, should we plot this one away? Can it?
Piece it out. Put a lock on it.
Piece it out. Don't forget
Buckle it down.
Don't forget to mention something about them shit kickers, them cowboy boots, baby.
I babe. I don't know what kind of accent that is. I baby. It's like Forrest Gump kind of.
It's like middle of the trailer park.
Hi there, baby. Make sure to get your spurs clean so you don't trip and fall.
Yeah, get your giddy and you're up. Yeehaw.
What did you say? We're gonna be the he's to your haws or something?
Yeah, we're gonna be the yees to your haw.
That's so good, man. Well, yeah. So go get some boots. You got a few more hours left, folks. The day's almost done. Obviously, if you're gonna be trendy, if you're gonna be cool, go get yourself some cowboy boots, and just fit in, man. Like everyone's doing it.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Everybody was wearing cowboy boots at the office today. Well,
wouldn't that be something? Clunk, clunk, clunk everywhere.
Clunk, clunk. That's it. Every time you walk away from somebody's desk. All right. Well, thanks for sending that Excel spreadsheet over to me. Yeehaw.
Yeehaw. Howdy.
Every time you get on like a group call, you're like, howdy, y'all. All right. So when we're looking at integration, we should really be focusing on.
Oh my! You start everything with yeehaw.
Yeah, or howdy, y'all.
Howdy, y'all. How y'all doing in these parts?
You gotta say y'all as much as you can.
That's a life I don't want to live.
Yeah. Anyways.
Well, beautiful. Thank you so much, folks, for tuning in. We've got our podcast streaming around the world on the Magical Bean Podbean. Check that out. We've got videos on the YouTubes. We got some stuff we'll be posting on the Facebooks. If you guys have any suggestions for cool episodes, some interesting stories you guys like, feel free to reach out to us. Let us know. We would love to maybe even conversate with you about it. Like what kind of direction you think would be for a good episode. And if you're interested in being on the show, reach out to us. You know? Never hurts to have more people with more input, and it's always fun. I like to have a good time here, so.
100%.
100.
You know what I say to that, Carter?
What?
Ye motherfucking ha!
Yee!
Anyways, guys, I'm Shane Ryan. Yeehaw!
And I'm Carter. Have a great week, y'all.
Matched you can grow to attached, I always do. My past smolders older, and so are you. So much wasted time. Girl, like you used stimulates this heart that I can hold. I know I'm still a younger man, but someday I'll be growing old. Listen close and never let a burning love grow cold. But right now I just feel like you are someone that I should know. March comes onward, oh, it's time to go. I've got to leave you back to the ice and snow. So much wasted time. Is too rare to find. A conversation stimulates this heart, soul and mind. I know I'm only 23, but maybe I'll hit 99. Listen close and never let a burning love rewind. But right now I just feel like you're someone that I should know. The conversation disappeared with stories untold. Since we parted our ways, I have been all alone. I know that someday I will have a hand to hold. Right now, I just feel like you're someone I should know. So much wasted time. A girl like you is too rare to find.